Hello friends, welcome to the channel Physics by IITians. In this video, we will discuss some of the questions that have come already in the NET exam. This is from NET 2020 exam. So we will discuss some of these questions. These questions we have already shared in the Telegram channel as a quiz. You can also attempt there. So let's start these questions. So the first question is related to area, or it is a general aptitude question. So in this question, it has been given that the area of this particular rectangle is 25 centimeters square. Area of this third rectangle is 32 centimeters square. And the question asks you what will be the area of this shaded region. It is also given that the length from this point A to point B is 8 centimeter, and the length from this point C to this point D is 9 centimeter. So what we can do, let's assume that this distance is y. I am assuming this is y distance, and also I am assuming a distance from this C point to D point to E point is x. So these two I have assumed. Now if distance from D to E is x, so this distance E to C will be 9 minus x, and similarly if this is x, this will also be x. So we can say that this distance from A to F, this AF distance will be now 8 minus x. So now we can write these two areas 25 and 32 in terms of x and y only. So the area 25 centimeters square can be written as the product of y and 8 minus x. So we can write y times 8 minus x will be 25. Similarly, this 32 area can also be written in terms of x and y. So what we can write? We can write y times 9 minus x is now 32. So these are the two equations containing x and y, and if we know the value of x and y, the product of x and y will give us the required area. So this required area will be nothing but x times y. So we have to solve these two equations to find x and y. So what we can do? We can divide these two. So we will have y will cancel. So this will be 8 minus x by 9 minus x will be 25 by 32. And from this we can find the value of x. So this x value, so 32 will come here and this 25 will go here. So we will have 32 times 8 minus x will be 25 times 9 minus x. Or we can write this will be 32 times 8 minus 32x, and that will be equals to 25 times 9 minus 25x. We can take the x terms in the one direction and non-x terms to the left hand direction. So this will be 256. Now this product will be 225, so this will come here, so it will be minus 225. Similarly, here you are having minus 25x and here you are having 32x, so you will again subtract each other, so you will have a 7x here. So the equation is 7x, and that is equals to the difference of the two. So this difference will be 31, I think. This will be 1 and this 5 minus 2 will be 31. So this will be your x value. So from here you can get the value of x as 31 by 7. And by putting this value of x in any of these two equations, we will obtain y, and the product of x and y will give you the real value. So this is the way how we can solve this particular question. Let's come to the next question, that is this question number 2. Let me remove this. Let's discuss this question. In this question, there is a quadrant. This is P, Q, R, and this point is P. Okay. This is the quadrant, and we have drawn a triangle in this quadrant. The triangle PQS. The area of this triangle is given to us, that is 24 centimeters square. And also this PQ distance is also given, that is 6 centimeters. Now we have to find the area of whole quadrant. What will be the area of this quadrant? So what we can do, Firstly, we can consider that this is a rectangle. So if we can find this distance, that is QS, then we can also find PR distance, because PR and QS are same. These are the diagonals of a rectangle. And this PR will be the radius of the circle. We know that the radius of a circle is like this. So this is the center, this is the radius. So if we can find the radius, suppose I am writing it in small r. So the area of this whole circle will be pi r square, and the whole area of this quadrant will be pi r square by 4. So our task is to find this r, that is the radius. And for finding the r, we need QS. And how we can find the QS value? So we know that area of this triangle PQS is given as 24. And what will be this area? This area will be PQ times this PS, that is the height of the triangle, and times half. So the area of the triangle is half height times the base, that is PQ, and it is given as 24. So we can write half times h times PQ, that is 6, and it is equals to 24. So the height of this triangle will be 8 centimeter. Now we know this PS distance, that is 8 centimeter. We know this PQ distance, that is 6 centimeter. Using the Pythagoras theorem, we can find this QS distance. So this QS distance will be written as QS square equals to PQ square plus PS square. So it will be PQ is 6, that is 6 square plus 8 square. If we calculate this and find the square root of this equation, this QS will be obtained as 10 centimeter. So this is the radius of the circle. But we want the area of a quadrant. So what will be the area? It will be pi times radius square by 4. Then if you simplify this, this will be 25 pi centimeters. This will be the answer of this second question. Let's discuss this third question. So these two questions were related to general aptitude. Now the third question is related to digital circuits or electronics and digital circuits. That is very important topic for GATE and NET exams. So let's start this question. This is a flip-flop question, and by seeing this D symbol, you can say that this is a D flip-flop. Before solving this question, you need to know the properties of a D flip-flop. So what is the properties of D flip-flop? It is like a transfer function. So whatever will be the input at this D terminal will directly transfer to this Q output. So if this is the clock, so this is D and this is Q. So if the input is 1, then output will be 1. If input is 0, then output will be 0. So this is the D flip-flop. So we have to use this property. So the question says there are 3 cascaded D flip-flops, and the input at this particular D flip-flop is 1. And question asks you, what will be the output after 2 clock cycles? Initially, all the outputs Q1, Q2, Q3 are given as 0. So we can make a table. So it is also given that this Q3 is your MSB, most significant bit, and this Q1 is your LSB, that is least significant bit. So we can write Q3, here Q2 and Q1. Initially, all the 3 are given as 0. Now, when first clock will come, this D input will transfer here. So this Q1 will turn to 1. But here already we are having 0, so 0 will transfer to here, and this 0 will transfer to here. So Q3 will be again 0, Q2 will also be 0, but Q1 will now be 1. So after 1 clock cycle, the outputs of these flip-flops are, here you are having 1, here you are having 0, here you are again having 0. After the second clock, this D input will again transfer to here, and here the input of D2 is 1, so it will again transfer to here, and this 0 will transfer to here. So now the Q3 will be 0, Q2 will be 1, and Q1 will also be 1. So this will be the output after 2 clock cycles. So this is the question, so this will be the answer. Let's discuss the next question. next question is related to numerical integrations, and it is a very important topic in mathematical physics. And mathematical physics is also one of the subject that comes in NET and GATE exam. So you have to focus this question also, and this is related to trapezoidal rule. So what is the trapezoidal rule of integration? It says that if you are solving an integration from suppose limit 0 to some higher limit, you can write from x1 to x2 f of x dx. So this integration is given as, you can divide this interval from x1 to x2 in some fragments, and the fragments of equal length, that suppose the length is h. So this integration will be given by trapezoidal rule as h by 2. Here you will write f0 means the starting limit, or you can write fx1. So this limit will be given here, so it will be f of x1 plus you will have f of x2, the last limit. Then you will have 2 times summation of f of x1 plus h plus f of x2 plus h and so on, f of x1 plus n minus 1h. So this is the way we can solve this particular numerical integration using trapezoidal rule. Now let's see this question. Here you are having an integration from 0 to 1.5, and the table shows that your intervals are 0, 0.5, 1 and 1.5. So from these data, we can say that the grid size or the difference between the two consecutive x values is 0.5. So this is the one information that we are having. Your starting limit is 0 and your last limit is 1.5. So if you solve this integration using this formula, what will we have? We will have integration from 0 to 1.5. This f of x dx will be h by 2. H is 0.5 here, so you will have 0.5 by 2 multiplication. Now you will have a f of 0, your starting limit, plus you will have a f of last limit, that is 1.5. Then you will have 2 times all the intermediate values, that is f of 0.5, f of 1. So you will have f of 0.5 here, then f of 1 here. These are the only points that we are having. Now we can put the respective values, and this integration value is given as 5 by 16. So let me erase here. So we will write 5 by 16, that is the left hand value, is equivalent to 0.5 by 2 bracket f0 is given as 1 plus f 1.5 is given as minus 5 by 4 plus 2 times f 0.5 is given as a and f1 is given as 0, so it will be 2 times a plus 0. So this is the equation we are having. So what we can do, we can remove this point from here and we can put 0 here. That is, I am changing the decimal point and dividing this by 10. We have to just simplify this equation. This 5 will cancel with this 5, 20 will come here, so you will have 20 by 16 and equals to 1 minus 5 by 4 plus 2 times of a. So this is the equation. This can be cancelled with 4, so it will be 5 by 4. This can be added, it will be minus 1 by 4. This minus 1 by 4 will come here, it will be 6 by 4, and that is equals to 2 times of a. So your a will be 3 by 4. So this is the answer, or you can further simplify, it will be 0.75. So this will be your answer for this question. In this question only the value of a was required. Let's discuss the fifth question. I am removing all the other questions. So, let me question is related to differential equations and also differential equations with some boundary value problems. So this is also a very important question, and this type of questions come with higher marks. It is in section C of NET exam, that is of 5 marks. So it is very important question. Let's discuss this question. So I am writing this question again here. So that is dy by dx whole square minus d2y by dx square, and it is given to us as e to the power y. So this is an exponential of y. So firstly, what our task is to just get rid of this exponential term. So for that we can assume that suppose y is ln t. This is nothing but that e to the power y I am assuming as t. I am assuming e to the power y as t, so that I can get rid of this exponential term. Now we can differentiate this term. So we will have dy by dx. It will be the differentiation of ln t is 1 by t. So it will be 1 by t dt by dx. Similarly, if you differentiate this term again, as we require double derivative also, so this will be d2y by dx square, and it will be, now you have to differentiate this term and we can use the product rule. So it will be, if we consider this first term as it is, so it will be 1 by t d2t by dx square, and if we consider this as a second term, this will be now constant, and now we have to differentiate the 1 by t. So the differentiation of 1 by t is minus 1 by t square, but again you have to differentiate this t term with respect to x, so you will have a dt by dx term extra. So this dt by dx will combine with that, so you will have a dt by dx whole square. So this is the second derivative, this is the first derivative, and also we have e to the power y as t. So these three terms we can put in the original equation. So we will have, let me put this on, 1 by t dt by dx, the first term, and we have to take the whole square, minus, you have to put d2y by dx square this term, so it will be 1 by t d2y by dx square, then this term, it will be 1 by t square, again dt by dx whole square, then equals to e to the power y, that is t only. Okay, now what we can do, this term and this terms are equivalent, we can add them, and we can take this term here, so we will have minus 1 by t d2y by dx square is equal, these two will be added, plus this is actually a 1 by t square term only, so we can add on directly 2 by t square dt by dx whole square, and that is equals to t. Now again we can remove this t from here and divide the whole expression by t, so it will be t square here, this will be tq here. Okay, so this is an equation that we can solve easily. How we can solve? We can see that if we take the derivative of 1 by t square dt by dx, 1 by t square dt by dx, suppose this is my term, and if I take the derivative with respect to x of this, what we will have? Let me discuss this. So this will be having two terms again, as we did the differentiation here, just instead of t we are having t square. So firstly we can consider t square term as it is, so it will be 1 by t square d2t by dx square, and now we can consider this term, so it will be minus 2 by t cube dt by dx will be as it is, and we have to take the derivative of dt again, so it will be square. So actually what we can see that this whole term is actually a differentiation of 1 by t square dt by dx. So I can put this whole term as negative of this. So we will have, let me erase some portion. I am removing this. I am considering the boundary problems as it is. Let me write the boundary problems here. y0 is given to as 1 and y derivative of 0 is given as minus of. So this term is actually minus of this term. So we can have minus dy by dx 1 by t square dt by dx, and that is equals to 1. This is easily integrable. So we can integrate this term. So this negative term we can put here, and the derivative of this will be 1 by t square dt by dx is equals to minus x plus some constant c1. Okay. Now we can integrate this term, because this is actually variable separation method. So what we can do, we can rewrite this equation as dt by t square and it is equals to minus x plus c1 dx. So variables have been separated, we can easily integrate it. So the integration of 1 by t square will be minus 1 by t. So we will have the integration of this. Actually I am using this formula. The integration of t to the power n dt is actually t to the power n plus 1 by n plus 1 plus some constant c2. This is the integration. So here I can put 1 by t square as t to the power minus t. So actually this n is minus 2. If you put n as minus 2, it will be t to the power minus 1 and again minus 1 here. So this integration will be minus 1 by t. And again the integration of minus x will be minus x square by 2, and the integration of this constant c1 will be c1x, and you can again have a constant c2. So the all equation has been simplified. Now what is our task? Our task is to find these values c1 and c2 using these boundary value problems. So what we can do, we can replace this t with its equivalent, that is e to the power y. So we will have minus 1 by e to the power y is equals to minus x square by 2 plus c1x plus c2. So the first condition is, if you put x as 0, you will find y as 1. So if you put x as 0, this term will be eliminated, this term will also be eliminated, and this y will be 1. It means c2 will be minus 1 by e. So you can find the value of c2. Similarly, if you take the derivative of this term and then again put the value of x as 0, you will again get the value of c1, and in this way you can find the values of c1 and c2 both, and then you will get the required solution of this differential equation. So in this way you could solve this question. Let's discuss the last question, that is the sixth question. This question is also from electronics, or you can say it is from EMT, because both are somewhat linked here. So I am rewriting this question here. Actually I am redrawing this diagram, and this is very important question. This also came for 5 marks. This question will clarify most of your concepts, like how to connect a voltmeter, how to take a Thevenin equivalent of a circuit, and many other doubts also. So let's discuss this. This is a 100 ohm resistance, this is a 150 ohm resistance, this is also a 100 ohm resistance, and this is given as R. Here you are having a 200 ohm resistance. Okay. Now the question is saying, we are connecting a voltmeter across this resistance. Remember, a voltmeter is always connected in parallel. Means if you want to find the value of voltage dropped at this resistance, you will connect a voltmeter like this, and then this voltmeter will read the voltage across this resistance. There are 2 voltmeters available, and one voltmeter is having an internal resistance of 2 million ohm, that is 10 to the power 6, and another voltmeter is having a resistance of 0.1 kilo ohm. If we are connecting a voltmeter with internal resistance 2 mega ohm, then the voltage is across this resistance is VA, and if you connect a voltmeter with internal resistance 0.1 kilo ohm, then the voltage dropped at VV. So you have to find the ratio of VA and VV. This is the question. So how can we solve this question? So it is very difficult if we just put this one voltmeter here and analyze the circuit. It will be little difficult. What we can do, we can take a Thevenin equivalent circuit across these 2 points. It is very easy. So if you draw a Thevenin equivalent circuit across these points, so this whole diagram will be replaced by one voltage source and one resistance. The voltage source we will call VTH, that is Thevenin equivalent voltage, and this resistance we will call RTH, Thevenin equivalent resistance. So across these 2 points, suppose let me call this point as 1 and this point as 2. Across these 1 and 2 points, I have simplified this circuit by this, and after that we will having a resistance R given as 100 ohm and a resistance of 200 ohm. So this all parallel portion of the graph has been simplified in a linear circuit, and it is easier to analyze a linear resistance combination. But the question is, how we can find this Thevenin equivalent voltage and Thevenin equivalent resistance, RTH and VTH. So to find the VTH, it is very easier. You have to just find the voltage across these 2 points, ignoring all the other part of the circuit. So the voltage across these 2 points is nothing but the voltage across this 150 ohm resistance. So you can use the voltage drop rule or voltage division rule. So this VTH is actually voltage across 150 ohm resistance. So it will be this resistance value divided by the sum of these 2 resistances and multiply by the given voltage. You can simplify this circuit. It is 250 here. So we will have 150 times 20 by 250. This 0 and 0 can be cancelled, and this 5 will cancel it as 3 and this as 4. So you will actually have this voltage VTH as 12. So this is your 12 volt. Now the second task is to find the RTH. So for finding the RTH across these 2 points, we will short circuit this voltage source. So this will be short circuited by a wire. If it was a current source, then we will open this. This will be an open circuit. So you will see that there is no wire here. So now it is a voltage source. I have sorted this. So this is a wire disconnected. Now you can find the resistance equivalent here. It is actually a parallel combination. So your RTH will be nothing but the product of the 2 terms, that is 100 by 150, and the summation of the 2, that is 100 plus 150. So it will be 100 times 150 by 250. So you can cancel this 0, this as 4. So it will be actually 60 ohm. So this RTH resistance is 60 ohms. So in this way we can draw the equivalent Thevenin circuit of this diagram. Now we can erase this because we don't need this diagram now. This diagram will suffice. So let me remove all this. This diagram is also not important now. Okay. These resistances are important actually. Now let's draw a circuit with a voltmeter of 2 mega ohm. So I am connecting a voltmeter of 2 mega ohm here resistance. This is 2 into 10 to the power 6 ohm. Okay. We can find this voltage. We have to find this voltage, and this voltage is given as VA. So what we can do? We can find this resistance, equivalent resistance between them. So this equivalent resistance will be 100 times this 2 mega ohm and divided by the sum of the two, that is 2 multiplied 10 to the power 6 plus 100. Or actually you can see also that this resistance is very high in comparison to this resistance. So you can actually find that in a parallel combination the equivalent resistance is actually equal to the smaller value resistance when the other resistance is very high. So this combination will give a resistance of 100 actually. And now finding the voltage at this resistance is easier using the voltage division rule. So this VA will actually be the value of this resistance, that is 100, divided by sum of all the resistances connected, that is 100 plus 200, that is 300. So this is 360. And you will multiply with the voltage source, that is 2. This 0 you can cancel, and this you can cancel 3. So it is actually 10 by 3. Let's do the same thing with another resistance of another voltmeter of resistance 0.1 kilo ohm. So now this resistance is actually 0.1 kilo ohm or 100 ohm. Now the equivalent resistance of the two will be 50 ohm because the parallel resistances of equal amplitude are connected in parallel. So this, or if you connect a 100 ohm resistance, it is a VV. So this VV voltage, this was VA, so this was VV. VV resistance, VV voltage across this resistance now will be 50 by sum of all the resistances, that is 200 plus 50 plus 60, 310. And you will multiply with the given voltage source. This 0 and 0 can be cancelled. This will be around 60 by 31. You can call it around 2. So it is 2 volt. So when you are connecting a voltmeter of 0.1 kilo ohm internal resistance, the voltage reading is 2 volt, and when you are connecting a 2 mega ohm voltmeter, the voltage reading is 10 by 3 volt. So the ratio of the two, that is VA by VB, will be 10 by 3 and 2 also, that is 5 by 3. So this will be the answer of this question. So in this way we solved all the questions. This was our second video in this series. We will continue this series. If you are liking this video, please like this video, please share this video with your friends, and also please subscribe to our channel. If you have any doubts, you can put your doubts in the comment section. You can also join our test series, that will be very important for your coming exams. And if you have already qualified your exams, you can join our interview guidance program, that will be helpful for your upcoming interviews. Thank you.